Please take to the Bible. Please take to the Bible. Please take to the Bible. To the Bible, yeah.
Hello and welcome to the 4th episode of BCC Baked Through the Bible. This week we're going to be making bread shapes, but before we do, I just want to say thank you so much, Sam, for making the promise cookies last week. They went really well, and this is the Peg family once again proving that they can bake. I want to see more pictures, more families getting involved. Send in those photos to Sam Dallimore's email. Right. Let's have a look at the ingredients. Let's do this. Okay, so I've combined all of the ingredients basically into this bowl here. So you've got 500 grams of white bread flour, and then you've got 7 grams, which is a sachet of fast action dried yeast. You've got a pinch of salt in there, just a little pinch, and then you've got 150 millilitres of cold water mixed with 150 millilitres of boiling water. So that is actually over here. So that is ready to go and be put into this mix. And then I've got it's supposed to be olive oil, but it's actually sunflower oil. You might want to get just olive oil with that one. So there we go. And I've got a bit of flour just remaining, so I can put that onto the surface and knead this bread later on. And then for the equipment, you've got the mixing bowl, and I've got baking trays to come, and I've got other things. I've got a wooden spoon if you want to, but I'm going to use my hands to mix everything together. Okay, so let's get on and bake. As you can see, I've got all of my dry ingredients first. Make sure you mix all the dry ingredients together in a large mixing bowl, okay? And then what I'm going to do, this is what I like to do anyway, I like to make a well in the middle. There we go. I've made a big well in the dry ingredients, and then I'm going to get the liquid, the wet ingredients, and pour that in gently. So that's just going to make a nice little well. I don't know if you can see that on the screen. Brilliant. So now I'm just going to push the dry ingredients from the side and bring it into the middle and incorporate that together. Right, so it's looking a little bit dry at the moment, so I'm going to add a little bit more warm water, not hot water, because I don't want the yeast to be destroyed by the heat, but I just want it to be warm, so it's just going to activate that yeast so we can have a nice stretchy dough later on when we start kneading it. Okay. Okay, there we go. So the ball is basically formed now, and then you should have a little bit of bread onto your fingers. Don't wash your hands. This is the important bit. What I like to do is I like to rub them together, and then the bread just the dough starts falling off your hands. So you can do that. Okay, now that is done, you want to put that to one side, and then now you've got the floor, the tabletop here, and you want to put some flour on that, ready to knead. Okay, now it's on to kneading the dough. This is going to take about 10 minutes to do. So get your bread dough, put it onto the surface which has got the flour on, and then you're going to start stretching out the dough, and just keep working on it so that the gluten inside, the yeast, is going to start to react, and it's going to start to make the dough even more stretchy. So when you start to prove it later on, so leave the dough in a warm place, it's going to expand and get bigger and bigger. So you want to do that for 10 minutes. Let's do this. So how I like to do it, you want to bring it forward, stretch, and then fold it back on top. Bring it forward, stretch, fold it back on top, and keep doing that for a whole 10 minutes. Let the fun begin. Hopefully you'll be getting loads of big muscles at the end of this. Ready? 3, 2, 1, let's go. Okay, so I've been kneading for about 5 minutes now, and as you can see, the dough is starting to get more stretchy. So this is what we need. This is perfect. Okay, so as we're at our halfway point, let's have a look at Beth for the Bible story. Go for it, Beth.
Welcome to today's story section. We are talking about how God's people grow, and we're looking at Genesis 18 and 21, about the story of Isaac. So sit back and relax and have a listen to the story. God had made some big promises. He had promised that there would always be people who would trust in him. And he had promised that these people would start with Abraham and his children. But there was a problem. I'll tell you what the problem is. Abraham didn't have any children. What's he gonna do? And he was a very old man. Like old. He was older than the oldest person you can think of. I know. His wife was very old too. He didn't think he would ever have any children. In fact, he was old enough to be your grandpa. And he didn't have any children. Even a great grandpa. Have a think about that. Surely he was too old to be a dad. Abraham waited and waited and waited. He waited for a very long time. Still waiting. Then one day, God said, "Next year you will have a son." His wife Sarah laughed, just like that. But God said, "Nothing is too hard for me." And God was right. He was right. A baby boy was born, just as God said. And Abraham was 100 years old. They called the baby Isaac. And Isaac grew up to have children. Then they grew up. And guess what? Nice. They had children too. And so it went on. The number of God's people was growing just as he had promised. It's pretty good stuff, isn't it? Just as God promised.
Awesome Bible story. It's great to hear that God's people grow. So now on to the last 5 minutes of kneading. Let's do this. Keep going, guys. Right, that has been 10 minutes. Hopefully your muscles are as big as mine. Yeah. Right, now you need to get your bowl that you had earlier. You're going to put a bit of oil in there. Just a tiny bit. Okay, now you want to get the bowl and put the bread inside of it. So then you're just going to need to put some cling film on top or a tea towel, and you're going to put that in a nice warm place just for it to prove, which basically means to grow. So the yeast that you've just been working and kneading in the dough is going to start to react and start to make this expand and grow, and you want to leave it there for 1 hour in the warm place, maybe next to your radiator, in the boiler room, or even under the covers in your bed, maybe, not sure. Speak to your parents about that first. But there we go. So leave it for an hour, come back to it, and let's see what it's like in an hour's time. Okay, so that's been an hour now. Look at the size of it. It is literally quadrupled in size. It's absolutely massive. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to quickly put some flour onto the surface, and you want to just knead this out a little bit more. And it's going to reduce in size, but that's okay. That's just going to be ready for us to put into the shapes. Okay, so here we go. Let me just angle that camera and let's knead. Okay, so there we go. Now we're going to go on to the bread shapes. So if you want to grab a big chunk of that, so let's take a big chunk. And the first bread shape that we want to do, I'm going to call it the little button. So I want you to have your hands like this, like a big claw. Put the bread down the middle there. Put your hand over and just press on it and then rub it round. Like that. There we go, so that's our first bread shape. Let's put that onto one of the baking trays. Now the second bread shape, you just want to grab the bread here and you want to get it the same size as the ball over there. And then you're going to divide that in two and you're going to make 2 long sausages. So make the 2 long sausages, roll it out. Okay, so now the 2 sausages are done and you just want to combine those together. So put them either side and then you're going to nip the end of both of them, push them like that. So there we go, as you can see, nip the end there. And you just want to plait it. So one over another, there we go. And then back to the circle, and that one goes over that one. And then that one goes over that one there. And then over again. And then over again. And you're just gonna twist it round, twist it, put it a little bit apart, and you're gonna roll it together into a circle. There we go. And you'll nip that under there. Nip it again. And there we go, that's another bread shape. And then you just want to let's go for another bread shape. It's the same size as the ball on over there. And this one's going to be a big sausage again. Just only 1 sausage this time. And you want to roll one of the sides in, like that, like a snail shell. And then the other side you want to roll in as well. And it comes together just like that. There we go. So there we go, that is the bread rolls all done there. And now you want to put it onto a baking tray and just leave it to brew, so grow again, there's that important word, for about 30 minutes in a nice warm place. So when that's happening, you can get the oven ready at 200 degrees. And then when the bread's just proven and it's grown, you can put that in there for 15 minutes and cook that until it's golden brown. So enjoy that process, go for it. Bread has now proven for 30 minutes and now it's going to go straight into the oven for 15 minutes to go golden brown. So the bread has now been cooking for about 20 minutes. I added another 5 minutes extra because these were big sized breads. Just to test if they're okay, it should be golden on top, or you just flip it up and then you just tap it and it should sound hollow, but make sure that they are cooled down a little bit before you do that, or just use an other glove to do that. So there we go. Now it's time to review my bread. Let's see if my friends are going to enjoy the bread shapes this week.
So warm and fluffy, especially on a cold day like this.
Crispy. That crunch. So good. So good.
Some more great reviews for my baking this week. Absolutely brilliant. Thank you very much. Next week, we're going to be making happy crepe faces, and they're going to be with Chrissy Pegg. So this is the ingredients that you need for the crepe faces. Okay, here's the ingredients. So you need 100 grams of plain flour. You need a pinch of salt. There's that pinch again, brilliant. And then 1 egg, 225 milliliters of milk. And then you need 1 tablespoon of vegetable oil, 4 tablespoons of yogurt, 4 tablespoons of bran or shredded wheat, and then 8 large raisins. Great. canned apricots if you want, you don't have to, and then 2 bananas. So there we go, and the equipment is a mixing bowl, hand mixer, so I guess maybe the electric hand mixer there, frying pan and a ladle. If you don't know what a ladle is, let me just try and find one. Let's have a look. We don't really have one, so it's basically one of these, but it's going to have, it's basically like a little bowl at the end of the stick. So that is going to be a ladle. Make sure you have one of those. Go for it. Thank you so much for getting involved this week. Make sure you get involved with Chrissy next week with the Happy Correct Faces. That's going to be loads of fun. Enjoy putting up your Christmas tree decorations this week if you're going to do that. If not, have a great week and enjoy making the bread shapes. See ya. Bye bye.
Say to the Bible. Say to the Bible. Say to the Bible. To the Bible.